live, laugh.
How's it going, everybody? I am joined today by the big man on campus, TJ Boss. How are you doing today, TJ?
What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. I appreciate the time to talk with you. You are not only the big man on campus, but I think you're the big man on the East Coast as far as wrestling goes. So I'm really excited to talk with you. Before we get started, where can everybody find you? And is there anything that you'd like to plug?
My social medias, you can find me on Facebook at TJ Boss
Uh,
77. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the TJ Boss 77. I think those are kind of all my platforms. YouTube, you just type in TJ Boss Wrestling and all different type of my old matches pop up, some of my newer matches. So
yeah,
if you want to check out some of my matches, just TJ Boss Wrestling, and you can find me on YouTube. But those are just
awesome.
most of my social media platforms.
Yeah, I did that earlier today, and I was watching a match between you and JD Drake. I think it was at APW a while back, like 6 or 7 years ago. So
Oh, the one for the belt.
yeah, I think
I
so.
think it was a tables match, maybe, or maybe just a regular singles match.
I'm not sure.
Uh, every
But
time
yeah,
I step in the ring with JD, it just hurts. So like,
yeah,
yeah, we done wrestled each other so many times, it just hurts.
yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. Like I said, you are kind of everywhere, holding down belts, throwing fuckers around like the TJ Boss experience. So, kind of where we like to start out on this podcast is at the beginning. So, for wrestling with you, like, where was the first moment? I could have had a list there. Where was the first moment that you kind of discovered wrestling? What was that like for you?
um, well, um, Wrestling. I actually discovered wrestling on accident.
Uh-huh.
Uh, my parents just got cable for the first time, and this was back in the '90s. So, uh, we only got like a few channels, probably like a total of 60 something channels back then. Well, come to find out, it was bootleg. You know, back in the day, you couldn't get in too big of trouble, but
Yeah.
one day I was probably 8 years old, and I was just flipping through the channels, and I just happened to come up on. You remember back on Saturdays when they used to do the reviews of Monday Night Raw on Saturday mornings?
Uh, you kind of cut out. What were you saying?
You remember when they used to do reviews on Saturday? Do
Oh
the
yeah,
reviews on Saturday mornings for Monday Night Raw.
yeah, yeah.
So I just happened just to flip that on, and Kane was making his entrance, and I was like, "Oh man, this looks like a horror movie." I was like, let me see if I can let me see what's up. Let me see if I like this." And come to find out, it was WWF, and it happened to be in the middle of the Attitude Era, and
Yeah,
I
perfect time.
watched that, and I just fell in love with it.
What was it about it? Was it the characters, the in ring stuff? That really.
So, so it was that was back in '99. So that was back when I think Kanan was it Kanan X Pac? Were they going into before going into WrestleMania 2000? I think they was running their tag team, and
Right.
I forgot what match it was, but like I just watched that episode, that preview, and I just fell in love with it, and I made sure on Monday that I
Uh,
was there to watch my very first Monday Night Raw,
do you remember what
or
was on?
Raw is War.
Do you remember that first episode at all?
I don't remember everything, but like I've been watching Reliving the Wars here lately, wrestling bios. I've been following them, and I've just been kind of watching it and going back into my childhood. And the episode, I got a feeling the episode is about to get ready to come up, and I'm about to just review it. And
Uh,
I'm looking forward to it because I'll remember everything that just happened in the episode. But
yeah,
like just my that's my very first memory of just coming up on wrestling just on accident
yeah.
and just
I
seeing Kane for the first time.
yeah. I had a very similar story. I think it was a little bit later for me. It's like 2005, but The Undertaker on SmackDown, and
Ooh,
yeah, that was like for me, that's like Prime Undertaker. But like I know everybody
Yeah.
has Undertaker. Um, but I recently kind of started watching because I wanted to find out the exact moment, and it's a different kind of nostalgia looking back on it. It's almost like you're reliving your childhood again. Like,
So what's crazy? And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah,
And what's crazy is Kane used to terrify me as a kid. Like he
yeah,
didn't talk. He had the little, the voice box thing. Like he used to terrify me. My dad used to play a little joke on me. He would come through and be like, "My name is Kane," and I'll run through the house. Dad, stop! But yeah, man, I just remembering that takes me back.
yeah. Uh, a side topic: have you seen the blue cane that's been going around?
Yeah, yeah, I seen it. When I see stuff like that, I'm like, you know what? That stuff like that. That's genius. That's gold.
Yeah,
I wish I could think stuff like that.
yeah. It's just like all of a sudden, boom! You're like the biggest thing on the internet. And you're getting a cease and desist probably from WWE. I think
Right.
he had to rename himself, but yeah, that stuff is awesome. And it's like it's what I think the Attitude Era was so great because like you had these like for instance Kane and X Pac in a tag team, just like this ridiculous stuff. And like Kane, I think has had a lot of tag teams that are like you wouldn't think that that'd be great, but
He's great, man. Like just going back and going through his career,
yeah,
Kane has done it all. And just to think that he started from Isaac Yankem
yep, yep.
to like this big red machine now Hall of Famer. Like he's had a great career.
I mean, I wouldn't say that he lucked out, but like that Kane gimmick was like so good. Like he came in at the right time, and he probably would have done something, but like it was kind of just like the right place, right time, and the next thing you know, he's literally everybody. Like we've talked about Kane and Undertaker probably more than any other wrestler on this podcast. So
Well, I'm about to say, and like Kane's in like my top 10
yeah,
wrestlers. Just he Kane for a 7 foot monster, Kane was like going on the top rope,
yeah.
doing the diving clothesline, like just him.
Was that sorry you cut out a little bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Um, Kane and Undertaker are the two guys like they're big men that were able to show their athleticism,
Yeah,
and they were and it I can look at guys like that and I can be like, hey, I can do that. I can do that type of stuff. I can show off my athleticism, even though I'm bigger than most people,
yeah,
and it works. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. The Undertaker dive over the top rope. It's almost like that, and then like
I close my eyes every single time ever since the dive with Shawn Michaels and him landing on his head.
yeah,
Oh, oh yeah, I close my eyes every single time. I couldn't
yeah.
do it.
Speaking of like big guys that like move, like it's weird how well they move. Are you a fan of Mike Awesome at all?
Am I?
Yeah,
Especially ECW Mike Awesome.
yeah. That dude was just flying.
And
Like he,
and the match he had at One Night Stand was it's still like hands down, like it ages so well. Like
yeah,
I think after this podcast I'm gonna go watch that pay-per-view. But his
yeah,
match at One Night Stand, he killed it, and he just his athleticism. I hate what they did to him in WCW, but I mean and WWF, but ECW Mike Awesome was
so good.
out of
Like
this world.
his matches with Tanaka, not just only at One Night Stand, but like they beat the living shit out of each other, and they kept going. Like it's incredible, and I don't think people know how good he is because like literally he would just like take off.
And
Like
I don't think. I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off again.
no, no,
I don't think. I've been in some nice house fights and had some nice stiff matches. Um, it takes a toll on your body. Like I I know a lot of people see people do the dives and flips and all that stuff. But you being there and you in a house fight, when you
Yeah.
come back, you come back bruised, sweaty. Uh, it's been plenty of times I just look at myself like, where did this cut come from, or
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's something else, man. So but like once again, like he's one of the type of guys that he revolutionary. I can't even talk.
I know what
He's
you
one
mean.
type of guys that made that type of style one of his things, and one of the guys that I look at, and especially being a ground and pound hard hitting
Yeah,
type of guy. So
for sure. So you kind of look up to these guys. At what point do you decide that this is something that you want to do and that you want to become a wrestler?
um so probably so at 15, well 16, I had my very first job. I worked at Bilo. It was a grocery store in my hometown of Clinton, South Carolina. And a friend of mine at the time, she told me that her boyfriend backyard wrestled.
Uh,
So I was like, 16, young, stupid. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. I love wrestling. Let's go, try it out.
yeah.
So, those guys, these guys, it was like five of us.
Uh,
And it was us, and he had the ground, and he had sticks at the ring, had it laid out 16
yeah.
by 16. um, so we out there, we run imaginary ropes, we taking bumps on the ground. And like I said, I'm 16. I don't know no better. We doing a couple little things. I take some time off. I go and I play football in high school, and I think around my senior year, we played against Chester High School.
Okay.
um, we lost to them in the third round, and that night, I was like, you know what? I think I'm done with football. I think I really want to see what I can do with wrestling. I've never been the type of person to, follow a crowd or go get a meal job or anything like that. I was like, I got a good feeling about this. Let's do it. A buddy of mine that I was actually doing the backyard stuff with gave me a call and
Uh-huh.
said that they were doing some training in Lawrence, South Carolina. At It was at the old skateaway. It was a skating rink that they had just tore down. They put the ring in there, and they said they want to do some training and bring up an old company, SCW, and start doing shows
Okay.
at the fairgrounds there. So that was back in 2009.
That's crazy. Kind
Yeah,
of go back to what you said about
eight.
football.
Mm-hmm.
You said it was Chester that ended up,
Mm-hmm.
and then now, so Chester, you could say, is one of the reasons that you became a wrestler. Now you're in Chester, and like that's a big part of, I'm assuming for you at least, your career and the stories that you've been able to tell there over the years.
Yeah, that's I tell a lot. I was telling my wife that I was like, crazy because I we lost, and that day I remember like it was yesterday. My senior year, and we lost in the third round, getting real close to getting the state, and we don't make it, and then just a few years later, just to win the championship there in Chester, it was
Yeah,
just an awesome feeling. But
yeah,
it was just something that I just share with me and her.
yeah.
So
Wrestling school like that. There's all these little
yeah.
points. Um, like for instance, like we met like outside of the show. Like I think you helped set up at the last UPW show. We just happened to be outside
Hmm.
at the time, and next thing you know, we're here. Like wrestling has a way of kind of like connecting dots that you wouldn't think otherwise would be connected.
Right.
But to go back to the backyard wrestling days, did you have a
Hmm.
character?
Yes, I actually do, and it's actually a tattoo. I'll see if you can see it.
Yeah,
You can see it right there. There we go.
yeah.
You see it?
Big. Yes,
That says Big T.
that was the
Big
back.
T. Yeah, that was my backyard name, Big T. when a funny story. When I started in 2000, well, when I started training in
Uh,
2008, um, they was like, "Hey man, you got to come up with a name." And I was like, "Well, yeah, no, I don't like Big T. I don't think that'll go too good. That just don't sound like a wrestler name." And so they was like, "Okay, well, just think of some names." So I really wanted to use the name TJ.
uh,
TJ is my first and my middle name.
okay.
So I really want to use that. TJ is just an awesome name to me.
Yeah.
Um, it's it's Power Rangers Turbo Ranger
Yeah.
TJ, one of my favorite characters, Red Ranger. Um, we so it came between TJ Law and TJ Boss. I don't know why Boss came in there, but the reason why Law came up because I like watching Ty Law playing, even though I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan,
Go
never a
bird.
New England Patriots fan. Oh,
Yeah.
I like you already.
My wife,
um,
my wife's
but
whole family's
I
from
just
Philly, so
well, I've been an Eagles fan since 2000. 2000, yeah,
yeah.
2000. Um, but it got between those two, TJ Law and TJ Boss. And my buddy of mine, he was like, "Well, if you do TJ Law, it'll kind of be like a security gimmick, a security guard gimmick, or
Oh,
like And I was like, I don't want to do a cop gimmick or a security guard gimmick. Well, then let's go TJ Boss, and it's been TJ Boss ever since.
yeah. It could be like the past being shaded by what we already know, but I think it's a pretty cool name.
Well, I say I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Oh, you tell me I have to get into a ring with somebody named TJ Boss. I'm probably not going to look forward to it, even no matter if I know what you look like or not. So it kind of establishes what you're about.
Well, I say you will be amazed how long it took me to get there. But that it wasn't that name hasn't rung easy with a lot of people, and it's okay. You know what I mean? I take that name and I do what I can with it, and I've taken TJ Boss and Man on campus. I've taken both those monikers and
Yeah.
taken them to places that I didn't think I would see in my life. So, you know,
Yeah. Just like we had Kevin, we were lucky enough to have Kevin Kelly on the podcast probably about, I don't know, it's been a while, but we
that,
were
that's
just,
that's my dog.
yeah, he grew up on, and we were like, it's just so cool to like somebody that like is on TV every Saturday night now, and it's like
Hmm.
guys that he's like putting out there is like people should know about. So you definitely doing something right with it because guys like that don't drop names that easily.
Man, yeah, I know. He's been great to me. So, I ain't gonna go into too much detail, but he's been very great to me.
Yeah, great guy. A really cool interview for us. But to kind of go back to training, I guess like when you're doing backyard stuff, how much do you like? Where do you think your skill level was at? Like with all the knowledge you have of wrestling, like do you think you're like not even like day one of regular training?
I think what helped me out in both of them was my me being able to have my football background
Mhm.
and to go through those drills, even though it's a total different beast. Football is totally different from wrestling.
Yeah,
Um, I think wrestling has put me through a lot of a hard put me in a lot. I can't even talk. Um, I have been in, I have done rougher drills in wrestling than I have in football. There we go.
yeah. No, we've heard that before. We've had like a former like Tennessee football player on. And he was like, "Yeah, wrestling is totally different." Like, like
It's a different beast,
I mean, SEC two a days is like doesn't compare to like being in the ring and getting that conditioning down.
right?
So, I guess you're starting the school or you're starting at the school in Lawrenceville. Who's
Mm-hmm.
training you there?
In Lawrence, South Carolina, I was at first I was trained by the man called Joshua Chilton and Charlie Wessel. Um, those guys taught me pretty much the basics. Lock up, how to take a bump, um, roll around. How to run the ropes. The very basics. Um, I was with them for a full year. Back then, it was you wrestle with a company for a full year,
Yeah.
and you don't go and travel nowhere. You don't take no other bookings or anything until you wrestle your full year there, and then they feel like you're good to go and go wrestle. So back then, I used to wear a cut sleeve T-shirt, jeans, black jeans, and Chuck Taylors. I think I still got the picture. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
Um, um, didn't know what I was doing. A lot of my matches were, curtain jerkers, just the basics.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think my finisher at the time was just a super kick.
Really?
So so you can, so just picture a 19-year-old TJ Boss doing a super kick in a cut sleeve T-shirt and jeans and Chuck Taylors. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Um.
what's it like to wrestle in jeans? Like I've never
Um.
jeans. I've never been
So
like
so and so, do you remember the meme where the wrestler started like carrying the ropes, and then like he do like the baggy shorts, and then do like the long tights and
yeah.
the trunks with the
Uh-huh.
championship? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think so.
That's how my evolution was. When I started off wrestling in jeans it's terrible. It's
Yeah.
terrible because especially if they rip, they ain't
Yeah.
nothing you can do, and they happen to rip on me. Yeah,
How
they happen to rip on me.
how
Luckily,
early?
I had a singlet on
Okay.
under it, but they happen to rip on me.
Crowd notice.
Yes. My girlfriend at the time actually noticed, and then she started laughing, and then somebody ended up asking her, and she ended up telling the next person, and then everybody just started laughing, and I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap this thing on up.
Does that change the match? Because obviously, no matter what you are in the match, if your pants rip, everybody's laughing at you. You're no longer the big bad guy.
Well, I was babyface, so that's the crazy part. Um, I think they only gave us like 6 to 8 minutes, so like I think it happened on my comeback, and
Uh,
I just ended up doing something and ended up ripping, and then she ended up laughing, and I just ended up hearing everybody laughing, and the guy told me, he was like, "Hey man, I think you ripped your pants." I was like, "Oh, but let's get ready to take this on home."
did you win that match?
No, I
Okay,
lost. I lost.
that's awesome. Yeah, I wear jeans because it's like sometimes you have to wear jeans, but I'm never comfortable in them. They're not a
well,
comfortable.
nowadays, and see, back in those days, they didn't have like the stretchy jeans now.
Yeah,
So now you can wear jeans, and you can actually
like
have the material, like the
yeah,
material to for it to be stretchy, so you ain't got nothing to worry about.
yeah. I can imagine back in the day that wasn't as nice though. Um,
Oh no, it wasn't.
so TJ Boss as a baby face in your first year, what did that look like? Like, what was the character for you at that point?
Um, what character? It was my first year was an experience. Um, I was green. I was very green. I didn't know what I was doing. It was a lot of coming out to the crowd, which I had a little connection with the crowd. The crowds that we were having in Lawrence, we ended up moving from the fairgrounds into this little building,
Uh,
and this building didn't hold more than 50 people. So they were run on Friday nights or every other Friday night, and we would do good to get 10 people on a good Friday night.
Yeah.
Um, I've legit wrestled in front of 2 people. Um, so it was a lot of trying to get these people behind you. You coming out the crowd when the beat drop. Hey, let's go, let's get it. Give them something. Uh, I I think uh, playing football for those years and coming out to the crowd in the stadium, getting the people hyped up, being young and still having that type of energy, and getting the crowd into it, trying to get them to do something. That was first year TJ. I still do a lot of that nowadays because the people they want to be engaged. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So um, when when I'm feeling the music and I'm feeling the people, really cheering me and chanting TJ Boss, I feel that that let's go and
Yeah.
get the people hyped up and getting them into it. So
Yeah.
you still see a little bit of it in me when I come out of my entrance. I'll tell the people, let's go, and that's just that first year TJ of getting hyped up, getting ready, and let's get ready to go and whoop somebody's ass.
Kind of a sidebar, but in a few of the matches I've seen, I've heard the chant, "TJ's gonna kill you," which there's only a few people that I've ever heard that for. What's it like to get that chant, or what was it like the first time that you heard it?
um, to stand in a corner with your arms folded and just look mad
Yeah,
it's very hard to not be able to look at people and be like yeah, I am gonna kill him. No, the first time I heard it, I think it was just like a couple people that were saying it, and I was like, I like that. I like the ring of that. I don't think it's gonna catch on, but I like the ring of it.
yeah,
Um, the the first place that a lot of people were saying it at like a big place was at OSCW.
uh-huh.
And you can find that match is me and TGA, Alexander Moss.
Okay,
Sorry, Alexander Moss at OSCW for the OSCW Heavyweight Championship. That crowd from start to finish was in it. And they started with the biggest TJ's gonna kill you. And I mean, like, I'm standing there and I'm like, man, this is crazy.
yeah,
John Scholar, he was we got back to the back, he was like, hey bro, that's how you start off a heavyweight title match. Like the crowd,
yeah.
they was in there. I was like, that's exactly what I wanted. And we didn't have to do nothing for at least the first minute and a half.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the most famous one is "Joey's gonna kill you" with Samoa Joe. But like, it's one of my favorite
And
chants.
see,
So
like, and see, like, and like, I love watching Samoa Joe, but I don't want like people comparing me to, I don't want to like steal nobody's stuff or anything like that. But like, just to hear your name and that behind it, and where it comes from, is
yeah,
it's
it's kind of
it's it's
cool.
it's, it's, it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you said that and I had to ask, but I guess we could kind of take it back to the time before people were chanting that. So you finish your first year in Lawrenceville. Where do you go from there?
I go. I get with some buddies of mine, Robert Mack and Brian Thrill. I meet up with those guys in Lawrence, and they tell me about a place in Spartanburg, South Carolina, APW,
Uh-huh.
American Pro Wrestling. That was
Yeah.
ran at the time by Chief J Eagle. Um, I spent a lot of years in APW, learning how to become a heel, learning more about working babyface. End up joining the faction, the Entourage.
Uh-huh.
Um, I end up uh, I end up meeting some great guys that end up becoming great mentors to me over the years, and Eric Anton, and he used to go by the name Elite. He used to wrestle for a lot in Hendersonville and
Uh-huh.
in Spartanburg. Um, but those guys really taught me a lot. about wrestling, especially the storytelling aspect. Um, though APW ran every Saturday, so I had a place to wrestle every weekend, and a lot of people have came through APW. A lot of guys that you may know, like Dion Johnson, R Truth, this came through there. He's done a couple things from there. I'm trying to think of some more names. Um, but and if I forgot somebody, I apologize. But they've had some pretty good people come through there, and that was a place where I was able to um just develop myself more and just get more ring time and just learn more about storytelling wrestling
Yeah,
there. So
for sure. Yeah. And I think is that I don't want to because there's APW Chester. Is that the same thing as this APW?
no, so they're two different things.
Okay.
So APW Chester is action pack wrestling,
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right.
and then APW American Pro Wrestling, they're in Bowling Springs now.
Okay.
But for years they were in Spartanburg, right across from KFC, and
Okay.
we used to go there every Saturday. Me, Robert Mack, and Brian Thriller used to ride up and go there every Saturday, wrestle. Um, and then I ended up getting a hookup for promotion in Hendersonville, ran by Gary Banfield, Viper, for
Uh-huh.
High Velocity Wrestling. Um, we end up working there some, so kind of going back and forth between those two promotions, and uh, there for a while, probably year two and a half, year three, between year three, year five, I was kind of there,
Yeah.
running between those two promotions. Um, and a promotion in Clyde, North Carolina by STW. I think they ran like once a month. I would wrestle there as well. So
So from the year like 2 to 5, what is the TJ Boss character started to look like?
all over the place. Um, I think I think at that time I was just trying to discover who I was. I think I was doing a lot of tag team wrestling at that time too. Like I said, I was kind of working uh, some more on my heel work.
Yeah.
Um, I actually ran a heel character, and I hope I don't get canceled for this, but I ran a Black America gimmick in APW in Spartanburg, and it was just it was just a black gimmick,
Yeah.
and and like it was just something that I would just knew that those people would hate at the time, because at that time it was just some things that I would say that would just be a little touchy, but I was just trying to get heat. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of learning that I went through. There's a lot of things that I probably said that I shouldn't have said on the microphone, but it was a lot of TJ. You probably shouldn't say that, but good job getting people to boo you.
Yeah. Ask
But
for forgiveness, permission.
I used to have a group called Black America,
Uh-huh.
and I came up with like a whole Pledge of Allegiance. I used to do that Black America Pledge of Allegiance before a match, and
Uh-huh.
and I knew it was a little edgy, but I wanted to do something that I felt at the time that I could
Yeah.
do as a heel, and just figure out what I could do as a heel.
Yeah.
So if that opportunity was ever to happen again, I would never go that route again. But at that time, it was just something that I wanted to try to see what I could do as a bad guy. So
Yeah, no problem. And especially like a small South Carolina town, like probably
right.
a good place to run that out. Did it ever kind of bum you out that like this character is getting heat? Like It's like you know why it's happening, but it's ever kind of a bummer.
Not really. I know the difference. You know what I mean. When when I'm out there, I try to make people boo, but I want to try to do it in a joking manner too. You know what I'm saying? Like I try to I'm mostly laughing on the inside myself. You know what I mean? It'll be like, to have a person be like, "Oh, boo! I can't believe you said that. You need to shut up, boo!" And I'm just sitting here like, I just got you in the palm of my
Yeah.
hand. You know what I'm saying? So
So you're working through these uh couple different places. You're honing your heel craft and your gimmick. At what point do you feel like things kind of start like taking off to where you're spreading out, you're kind of top guys someplace? At what point do you feel like that started to trend for you?
so you so usually when for me, I'll answer this part first, and then I'll go back to what your question.
Okay.
Usually, if I feel like I'm at a a big, I'll go ahead and just answer your question then.
Okay.
So when I did the Black America gimmick, I ended up becoming heavyweight champion, and I ended up working a program with Eric Anton, my one of my mentors.
Yeah.
Um, we ended up working a program, and we had to work that program for at least a year, if not a year and a half.
Yeah.
And we just did all different type of different things just to work each other, and we was working in front of the same people, but it was working, and it was more and more people showing up. We was having great matches, and to us we was having great matches,
Yeah.
and we were the fans were loving it, and they were coming in and selling out the place. So he taught me when you telling the story, it's like cooking pinto beans. You not
Uh-huh.
cook pinto beans?
I don't.
Well, when you cook pinto beans, you want to cook them slow.
Uh-huh.
The slower you cook them, the better it's gonna be. And it's just like storytelling and wrestling, just like with the bloodline storyline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
for
been
sure.
long time. You know what I'm saying? It's been
Yeah.
long storytelling. They've been cooking they pinto beans, and now we just waiting on the final dish. You know what I'm saying? Because we know it's gonna be good.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very cool way to put it. And definitely very
So so after we got done there, I did a show for Boomer Payne and Bryce Anthony. They run Battle Zone Wrestling,
okay.
and I did a show for them at the Peach Festival they did in Gaffney, South Carolina, back in I want to say 2015. Um, I ended up meeting Bob Keller. Um, Bob Keller is the promoter of Wrestle Force in
Uh-huh.
Columbia, South Carolina, and he's Bob Keller has become my mentor and and my trainer.
Yeah.
Um, Bob Keller booked me for Wrestle Force, and he wanted me to be the enforcer of the
Uh-huh.
group, the E&D, and that's I think that's when I kind of started venturing off, getting with Bob Keller, learning under him, learning under John Scholar, and just taking everything that uh, I've been able to learn in the locker rooms that I've been able to share with a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Um, Been able to take those and being able to travel and really get my name out there. So
So
I
you
say,
mentioned
well, go ahead.
you
Sorry.
mentioned that's right. The end. That's kind of, if I'm not mistaken, that's something that's kind of gone on for a while for you. It's kind of like
Yeah.
walk us through that, like the beginning, and what are the early stages that look like for you?
Um, the early stages for that, at the beginning, it was myself, Zook King, Kevin Phoenix, Jet Black, and Nick Kismet. As
Yeah,
Yeah, Nick Kismet. Yeah,
yeah.
we were the
I
END.
now that this is clicking for me because we had Zuka King on, and they said his names. It's kind of like yeah, the similar story. What like I guess my question would be, what was it like to like be with those guys, and did you feel like you had something special in that group?
Um, so with those guys, it was the only places that we were as like a big group were at WrestleForce in Columbia and OSCW in Hanahan, South Carolina. We tried a doing a big we did a big group angle in PCW, but I
Uh,
think after that, then we end up coming back to WrestleForce and still running the END there and OSCW. Um, but me and Zuka King went other places with the name END,
yeah,
teaming up in West Virginia, down in Georgia, uh, Virginia, and Maryland, and some in North Carolina and South Carolina. So I think me and Zuka were mostly the tag team guys in that group.
yeah. So if I'm correct, like when that group started, Zuko was very new, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He
Was it?
was. Um, Being able to see and to be able to see his growth from then to now, it has been amazing. That's my boy. Like me and him have since I made my debut in WrestleForce,
Uh,
and started the group with him. Me and him traveled up and down the East Coast for years,
yeah,
and we that's been my brother for the past almost decade now, and to see his growth and the rest of the business has just been amazing.
yeah. He's definitely like I would say put him up there with you of like the guys you want to bring in to like you're gonna put him with like he wrestled Carlito recently, like to have like the
Hmm.
trust to have to like get to a ring like that. Like you're the guys that when you bring in like the outside talent that you trust to put with them. So I know that's gotta
Uh,
be awesome.
he's great, man. I love that brother to death, and he's a great talent, and I would put him in my top five any day, and that's not being biased. So,
Yeah, that is awesome. So you kind of you're working this angle with the end. Um, at what point do you kind of when you're starting to branch out? Is that the first time that you're hitting these places like West Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, or have you been there before?
so, I've never been up for it. Again, Bob Keller has this thing where if you want to get out and wrestle, get in his van. If he got a show, you can go set up. You can go get you a spot,
Yeah,
and that's exactly what I did. I got in the van. If he had a show, we go set up. If there was a spot, there was a spot. If it wasn't, oh well. You at least you still got a chance to go and show face and at least get your foot in the door. You know.
were there any of those locker rooms that you like shared with somebody that like you were like, oh shit, that's so and so, or like any moments?
Oh, plenty of times. Uh, especially at PWX, and I think we'll probably get up in
Yeah,
that later on. But
yeah,
it's been plenty of times. My very first Wrestle Force show, I was like that, not knowing everybody and stuff like that. Being in the we had Glacier on that show. Uh, the um the Patriot. He had the Patriot on the show. Luke Gallows, Gunner, Cedric Alexander. I'm trying to think who else he had on that show.
It's stacked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got eliminated by Gunner. Yeah. Yeah. That was a great time at that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, you. I try not to be like I try not to show it. I just be like, oh man, that's cool. Such and such in the locker room, and I just kind of go shake their hand. Hey, how you doing? I'm TJ, and I go on about my business.
That UPW show, we did social media for them. That was the first
Hmm.
time I've ever been in a locker room. And like we were sitting there talking to somebody, and then Sin Cara just walks up and shakes my hand. Like he's like,
Yeah,
let me, it's crazy. Like I can only imagine like the amount of people that you've been there. But yeah, it's nuts. So I
I say
definitely
when I met Ron Simmons, that was something big for me because I remember my dad telling me the story about him watching Ron Simmons beat Vader. So
yeah.
like meeting him and being able to take a picture with him and do a promo with him, me and Zuka, I'm always gonna cherish that. So that was pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
I
Did
say
he
he gave me from huh?
go ahead?
Oh no, I'll say I told him I said the spine buster finisher that I do. I said, hey man, I do the spine buster, man. You cool with me, doing that, ain't you? He said, yeah, you can have that, man. I said, cool, thank you, Ron.
It's a pretty good sign off for that.
Yeah.
Um, was there any mention of damn in the promo that you guys did?
No, but he told we did. He said put the fist up, and me
Yeah,
and Zuka did the fist, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah. That's got to be cool, especially like with the Black America and everything like that. Did you
Hmm.
take the influence from that when you were doing that?
A little bit. When I went to when I started E&D, they told me that they just wanted an enforcer. They ain't want nobody to talk. They
Yeah,
just want somebody to put the nail on it. And
yeah,
so, when I got with Bob, I had to basically the stuff that I was doing before I got with Bob. I had to basically flip my whole playbook.
yeah,
Um, I was the biggest whole group, so they didn't want me to bump a lot, and it was a lot of me. They wanted me to go in, boom, throw people around, be the big strong guy.
yeah,
And so once once it had to take Bob and John to break it down to me and have me realize, like, hey man, we want you to be like the enforcer. Like you're not gonna be doing a lot. You gonna come in, you gonna make a statement, and that's what we gonna do. And they broke down just the just broke down how to be a big man in wrestling. And if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be no big man on campus. So.
yeah. Uh, Sidebar question again. What's it like to
Mhm.
just throw fuckers around?
Um, it depends. It depends on who wants to get thrown. Because
Yeah,
I've been told plenty of times that when I look in somebody's eyes in the corner and I just had that scary look in my face, I think they're a little intimidated. So when it happens, it's kind of like, oh my god. But um, to be able if I get somebody real good and throw them real far and just be able just to see them just fly, I'm just like, hey, thank you. You know.
yeah. I don't I don't know if you have like this like in your head, but do you have an idea of who has been like the furthest that you've thrown?
Hmm. It's between Lucky Ali. It's between Lucky and Al, I think Lucky Ali. I think Lucky is farthest. I think recently in a tag team match that we done. I think Lucky is the farthest.
Is that on YouTube by chance?
Yes, it is. It's me and Stuart Snodgrass versus John Scholar and Lucky Ali.
Okay, I'll be looking that up. You mentioned PWX, so I think it's a pretty good time to kind of jump to there. Um, I don't think like, or at least I did it. I kind of came into the indie scene in North Carolina around like 2019, and I
Hmm.
didn't like know the impact of PWX and like how cool and how like big of a thing that was. Um, what was your first experience with PWX like? What was the first show that you ever worked on for them?
Um, so first, I tell my PWX story because I had a great PWX career first off.
Yeah,
So I give that thanks to Zane Riley. Because if it wasn't for Zane Riley, Zane Riley was doing Revolt with Caleb Conley.
yeah, of course.
And I actually just seen like a commercial on it. My wife was like, hey, they look real cool. We know Drake and Zane.
Yeah.
Um, we should go and watch the show. Well, I ended up doing the show with Zane. And I was like, hey, man, how do I get on PWX? And he was like, man, just come and, help set up. And just if they have a dart match, they might get you on. And I was like, okay. So I can't remember the name of the show, but the match was Drake, JD Drake versus Gunner for the ITV championship. It's
Yep.
the night that Drake beat Gunner for the belt. And I have to send it to you when the name of the show, I can find it.
Okay.
But that show, I went to it, and it was I ended up doing a 8-man tag in a dart match. It was, let me see if I can remember everybody. Yeah, I know it was me and Zuka and Yaya, Big Time Ya, and CB Suave versus TK Stark, um, Tyler Gaines, and I can't remember the other two
That's
people,
pretty
but it
cool.
was 8-man. Yeah,
I don't
it
that,
was 8-man.
that's a pretty
It
good
was
memory.
8-man tag.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's why I said too. That's a pretty good memory.
Yeah.
It was a dart match, and we didn't have long. As a matter of fact, the referee of that match was Patrick.
Uh-huh.
So Patrick Price,
Uh-huh.
he was referee of that match. So I was the biggest person in the match as usual, and they wanted to see what I had because at that time PWX was at a whole different level of
Yeah.
something that I didn't think I would be able to, perform in.
Yeah.
Um, it was a lot of guys that came from PWX. So Anthony Henry, John Scholar, JD Drake. Those guys came through PWX, and I was like, man, I don't even know if I'm on these guys' level. Um, as a matter of fact, in that dart match, that was a spot where I was supposed to go up top and hit this guy with a swan. I was supposed to go off top and swanton and miss to lead in
Uh-huh.
for the hot tag. Well, I got up to top. I got up to the top and lost my foot and just end up flipping over and end up
Oh,
landing on the guy.
oh,
And I
no.
was like, "Oh my god, I done messed this thing up." But it was all good. The match kept on going, and everybody said they enjoyed it. Just that little. Nobody wasn't even worried about that mess up but me. But they said it was a good dart match. So, and the rest is history.
Yeah. How quickly do you get the call back for, or did you show up?
Um, so they did a show in December. Um, December deletings.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was a show that they had Matt Hardy
Oh, cool.
and um, Drake, JD Drake was the ITV champion, and he was about to start a feud with Elijah Evans. They wanted him to start this group called the Syndicate,
Uh-huh.
and we had a manager by the name of the Tommy Thomas, and they wanted a muscle, and so I got a message from Tommy saying that PWX wanted me to come in and be the muscle. So after it was JD Drake versus Tracer X for the championship, and JD Drake went over, and then that's when we made our Elijah Hari had been there, but this was my official debut main on the main show, and that night we debuted as a syndicate.
And, if I'm correct, or if I'm not correct, but if Cage Match is correct, Timmy Lou Retton was in, or Tim as he's known now,
Hmm.
was that before the Gymnasty Boys?
I think that was, I think that was like in a weird time. I think they were like doing some tag team, but I think they were just kind of coming into gymnasty, and I think like just the timeline of that and him coming into the syndicate.
Yeah,
You know, a fun fact. Me and Timmy were not supposed to be the tag team. We're not supposed to be a tag team in the
yeah,
syndicate. It was actually supposed to be me and Ray Hahn,
yeah. That's
but
eventually turned into, if I'm correct, right?
mhm, yeah. Um, he ended up going being end up sick at the time,
Uh-huh.
and so they end up making me and Timmy the tag team in the syndicate, and we just end up running with it, and I ended up learning so much from Timmy. Timmy Lou, well, Tim. um, I don't care. I'll call him Timmy Lou. That's my dog. That's another guy that if it wasn't for him, I learned so much from Timmy. Like I learned how to become a better wrestler just by teaming up and just watching Timmy in the corner and
Yeah,
just going over matches and what we gonna do. Like he Timmy is a genius
yeah,
in the ring, and to be able to team with him and hold a tag team championship with him, and just go on the ride that we did with those tag titles PWX, it was a great experience, and I owe a lot of my career. I owe a lot of my career to Timmy as well. So
yeah. Uh, so when you guys were tag team champions, you had a ducks, ladders, and chairs match.
yes, sir.
Could you walk us through what the preparation is for a ducks, ladders, and chairs match?
You want mine, or you want the whole group's preparation of ducks, ladders, and chairs?
Yeah, whatever. Man. Like,
Well, if with the people that are close to me, they know about my preparation with ducks, ladders, and chairs. Um, Ducks, ladders, and chairs was me and Timmy Lou versus the Ugly Ducklings, Rob Killjoy and Lance.
uh,
Um, that match was the longest, funnest, worst match of my life.
yeah,
Um, so we we were the main event for night one of X16.
uh,
Um, to me, it was at the time I was very excited because I was doing this match with a lot of talented guys. Um, I was very nervous, but at the same time too, I wanted something that people could remember me by, and just leave an impression.
yeah,
At that point, I didn't that I was doing tag team stuff, and I never thought that I would be in a main event
yeah,
spot like that again, especially for that promotion
yeah,
at the time. So I wanted to go out and just do something big in that match, and just leave a leave an impression.
yeah,
um so That match went 40 something minutes, and we started that match off hot. Like as soon as we came out and did our entrance,
Uh,
they started off with suicide dives, and that match went.
yeah.
Um, that match had a lot of crazy spots. Um, you had your interview with Rob, so Rob is
Yeah.
that's another guy. That's another guy that would that's helped me out a lot too, and developing the TJ Boss
Uh,
character. Um, Working programs with him and Lance, like they came up with so many different ways of doing different tag team matches, and we had so much fun. But that DLC match, man, it was something else. A lot of different weapon spots. We did spots with ladders that I never seen. Um, but I was the one that ended up taking them and stuff. So we end up doing the spots with rubber duckies and stuff like that. To backtrack a little bit, this is the match that um, was the was supposed to be the blow off match to the Syndicate versus the Ducks because we ended up taking the tag belts off them.
yeah.
Um, so this match was like the big blow off match. So we were supposed to go under, and that was supposed to be, this big spot. Well, you know, one of my favorite matches was TLC WrestleMania X7, Dudley's, Edge, Christian, Hardy's,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and the dopest spot I just always seen was just Bubba and Matt Hardy just going through those tables off that top of that ladder,
Yeah.
and I was like, I think I could do that. I showed my wife, and she was like, "You're stupid," and I said, "I know, but I think it'll be something that'll be big and be something memorable. You know what I'm saying?" And the only thing she just kept on telling me was, "Just be careful. Just be careful." So, um, we're setting up tables to get back to the match. I'm setting up the tables in the match, and we're we're getting to the outside of it, and we're getting the ladder is very tall. That ladder's probably 15 feet. Um, we're getting close to the spot where I'm about to get ready to take the tumble. Well, the spot was Timmy told me to climb the ladder and get the belts. Lance makes a last ditch effort and tries to get him, get him, get him.
Yeah.
No, throw off, come back, push. As soon as I seen Timmy come, I said, "This is probably the worst mistake I've ever made." As soon as that ladder started tilting, I'm like, "There's no way I can go through this. There's no way. There's no safe way I can go through this."
Yeah.
As soon as I feel myself going, it was probably the longest fall of my life. And as soon as I hit, boom, it knocked the breath out of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh man." So Tommy, he was out ringside with us, and he was like, "Hey, you okay?" I said, "Hey Tommy, I can't breathe, man." And he was like, "Hey, just breathe, just breathe." And I was like, "I ain't got no choice. I'm trying." But I just knocked the wind out of me. So I'm thinking, I'm laying down on the ground. I'm like, man, I think I just knocked the wind out of me. I think I should be good. I may be fine. It's a little pain I feel, but maybe I just walk it off.
Yeah.
But I'm laying there, and the match is still going on just a little bit, and then the match ends. I'm laying there. The referees come. Everybody come and check on me. Um, I'm telling them to, hey, go tell my wife. Hey, go tell her I'm fine because I just don't want her to freak out.
Yeah.
Um, they go. I try to go to get up, and I feel just pain in my left leg, and I'm like, oh man, I can't walk. And so I'm trying to get the power to walk, and um, they helped me to the back. I lay down in the floor, and I really can't even get back up. Like it was just so much pain.
Yeah.
End up spending the night at the ER. My wife, some of my friends, Zuka, Ray Hahn, Chris Vallow, a couple of those guys, they stayed and, helped. Um, and, stayed overnight with me. Eric Thompson, Mr. Sleeves, and his wife. They took good care of me. End up come to find out that I broke my pelvis and rupture my L4, my L5. But when I got to the doctor was surprised I was able to even walk into his office when we was able to get the doctor's appointment. So, but yeah, I messed myself up really bad in that match.
How long did that put you out?
That put me out for. It should have put me out longer, but they gave me 6 to 8 months.
Uh,
And I think I came back in the 6 month. It luckily I didn't have to have any surgery. It was able they were able to do some injections to and just let it heal on its own and do some physical therapy. And so it ended up helping out and ended up getting back, able to get back to wrestling. So
was there any hesitancy coming back, like after that?
um most definitely. I think my first match back was like an 8-man tag, so I didn't have to do a lot. I still had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Bob Keller really helped me out. He told me, hey, don't try to rush or put too much on it. You know what I'm saying? Just take your time and um, just whatever drills that they were running, just take your time and just come back, and that's what I did. So,
Nice. So you reached this kind of peak moment for you when the titles in the main event of like PWX.
mm.
Immediately, it's kind of all taken away from you. You come back, you work probably a few years later, but what is it like that moment that you go from that moment to now you're about to win the title there?
um, so let's see. I think the match I end up having with Slim J. I don't think it was before the match I had with Slim J. It wasn't in the cards for me to be in the main event for
Yeah.
PWX. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've always just been the type of person. I just waiting on the right opportunity. I know what I can do, so I would just always wait on the right opportunity. And me and Slim J, we wrestled at Too Close for Comfort. That match is on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
That was actually my very first singles match at PWX.
Really? Wow.
Yep, that was for the heavyweight title. That was my very first singles match at PWX.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seen what I could do in tag matches, but and like I think I wrestled a singles match against JD Drake, but it wasn't a single, it was like a gauntlet. So like it was only like a short amount of time that I was able to really even do anything.
Yeah.
So like to get a good solid, 15 to 20 minutes with, the heavyweight champion PWX at the time and him, and at the time Slim J was the man. He was the heavyweight champ. He had won X16, and he was the guy. So it was a lot of pressure on me in that match, especially when people see the match graphic. You're like, oh, you know what, well, TJ definitely gonna lose this. So he ain't gonna have no chance because he's just been a tag guy.
Yeah.
But for the match that we were able to do and to give those people and people to able to see what I could do on my own, that was the stepping stone for me to get my push
Yeah.
in PWX. Um, I didn't the 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 night I actually won the belt, the end of Slim J match, we did like I think we did like a dusty finish where everybody thought I won, and then the referees came out, they seen that we cheated, blah blah blah, but it really didn't hit till a couple months after that at the PWX show. It was a cross promotion show that they were doing. It was PWX and Pure, PWX versus Pure, and they did a 6-way
Uh-huh.
for the vacated title because Slim J got hurt, and so it was. Now check this out. It was John Scholar, Ethan Case, Corey Hollis, Anthony Henry, JD Drake, and me.
That's awesome. So
But
all
yeah,
the,
don't I stick out like a sore thumb, right?
all the
and I ain't trying to say nothing bad, but like
yeah,
those guys, like those, and like to me, and I've seen those guys
yeah,
wrestle, and I've those guys have been
yeah,
places, and to be in the mix with those guys, there was a lot of pressure, especially going for the heavyweight title. So
yeah. You mentioned earlier, like those are the guys that like looked up to,
right,
guys that like made you want to get into PWX. Now you're in a match with them.
right.
We get to like what happens in the match. I have a question between Anthony Henry's kicks and JD Drake's chops. Which ones hurt the most?
Man, you putting me in a sticky situation because if I have to wrestle one of those two soon, it's gonna be bad. Um,
I don't think they're going to
let's
be
see.
so.
Um, to be completely honest with you, I gotta I gotta go with Drake's chops, man. And to be the guy that he don't take it easy on because I don't take it easy on him neither. So
Yeah,
I think it's one of those things. Whoever throws it first, we're gonna see where we at, and we get that nod, like okay, motherfucker. All right, let's see what's up. All right.
we had we had Robert Martyr on recently, and he's had the opportunity to wrestle JD Drake and Minoru Suzuki. And he said
Mm-hmm.
that JD Drake's chops are harder than Suzuki's. So
And I mean, and see, like, and me and Drake, we've known each other for so long to where, like, we know we're gonna piss each other off. So it is what it is.
yeah, that's awesome. Anthony Henry kicks do not look nice though either. He was,
So the first time I ever took Henry's kicks, I I just closed my eyes and I was like, hey man, whenever it's over with, just wake me up whenever it's over with. I said I knew it was coming, just wake me up whenever it's over with.
very painful duo, and the fact that they're in a
Oh yeah.
is kind of scary. Uh, but to jump back in, so this is the match where you win the title. At what point do you learn that you're going over in that match?
Um so it's me and Corey in the final two.
Uh-huh.
And me and him I think that was kind of the first time me and Corey have really done anything like just individually.
Uh-huh.
um I end up beating him, pinning him with the last ride power bomb. I think that was the match where I was that. Yep, because I ended up going over, and that's when Jason Cade, he had like their money in the bank briefcase. I can't remember the name of the briefcase that they had, but he had a briefcase. And at the time, he was end up becoming the leader of the syndicate.
Yeah.
Uh, and he ended up, we were still in the same group, and he ended up taking the briefcase and hit me upside the head and taking the belt from me.
Yeah.
Um, so I had the belt for what? I had it for 3 minutes. um, and at that time, I think I was just a transitional champion to just get it to Jason.
Yeah.
Um, because I think they was end up going into the story between him and Harlem Bravado
Uh-huh.
um, at the time before COVID ended up happening.
Yeah.
And then at the time that was me turning into a baby face and going up to the ranks just so I can fight to get a chance to fight a championship again.
Of course.
Um, but yeah, that six I took an ass whooping in that 6 way. I think I got beat with a chair after the match. After I ended up beating Corey,
Uh-huh.
and he ended up beating me with a chair, and then ended up taking the briefcase inside of the head in that match.
Yeah.
Um, but but yeah, that was the end of that year in December, and then COVID ended up happening because I think I was end up going on my babyface run, but COVID ended up happening. And then the year after,
Yeah.
we ended up winning X16, and then end up facing Jason Cage for the belt for a Rise of a Champion.
What was it like winning that belt the second time? And it's got to be different because you're winning it, you're keeping it, you're going to defend it.
Um, the first time the second time I ended up winning, when I ended up going on my title reign,
Yeah.
um, when me and Jason did that match, um, it was a lot of emotions going through my head, because to me, Rise of a Champion for that promotion, it was a pretty big deal at the
Yep.
time. So with the card that they had, just one match, they had Drake versus John Davis on the card.
Yeah.
So, being in the main event of that and having loaded card that they did, um, I felt like I had a real big chip on my shoulder and I had a lot to prove. Especially because I never thought I'd be in this position. Like I
Yeah.
told you before, like, you know, especially what happened after, DLC.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be in that position before. So, it was a lot of nerves. I was very nervous, but at the same time too, I felt that I put in I put in the work to be in that position.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of people believing in me that wanted me to succeed. And so the only thing I had to do was just go out there and, just do it and just give it 110%. And
Yeah.
that's what I did. So it was very emotional. Very emotional night. My parents were there. That was the first time my in-laws actually came and see me wrestle
That's,
live.
yeah.
So it was a very emotional night. A lot of people just to see, hundreds of people just cheering and standing on their feet, clapping and saying you
Yeah.
deserve it. It was a very awesome moment.
Yeah. It's got to be surreal, especially like I don't think that there's like maybe AML's kind of pushing it, but PWX has that like level of prestige, like where
Yeah.
like they're doing things right on all fronts. That's got to be really cool. Um, how far in advance did they tell you, like how about the title change?
Um. So let's see. They probably told me maybe because when Slim went down,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be me and Slim in a cage match, and I'm trying to remember the town in North Carolina. It's it's all the way out there. It'll come to me later on. But it was supposed to be me and Slim in a cage match for the title. And then
Yeah,
he ended up getting hurt. And so the title ended up getting vacated. And I think they end up telling me that show between the show that show was right before the six way
yeah,
to determine the new champion. So I think they told me the show before, like, hey, we going we're gonna have you go over, but then that's when we're gonna have Jason cash in on you. Then we'll
yeah.
have you do the big baby face chase,
Uh,
and we'll just go on from there. So
yeah,
that was the plan, and like I said, COVID ended up happening, and
yeah.
you know,
Do you think that COVID made it like that much like bigger of a moment because like you got pushed back a year of when you were supposed to be holding this title again?
um, yes and no. The reason why I say yes is because um the people got a chance to wait and see what was going to happen next. But the
Yeah,
reason why I say no is because I wish we were able to tell that story more and do more of a build up so that way when the payoff did happen, the story would have been there, a longer story would have been there instead of
yeah,
just having that pause because
yeah,
of COVID, you know. But I mean, you know, things happen for a reason, and the story that we were still able to tell when we came back from COVID
yeah,
and having me win at Rise of a Champion, it was still a great story. Like, you know, I was able, a fun story. During COVID, I ended up having a foot surgery.
uh-huh.
So I ended up having a foot surgery a month before X16. And so so I was like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I had talked to my doctor and I was like, hey man, I need to have the surgery, but I need to have this done in time because I had this event and you know, X16 used to be a 2 day event. Well, that time, the year that I won it, they were doing it the whole day. And so I was like,
Oof.
oh. So we end up I was able to end up getting the surgery and, you know, getting a little physical therapy done and be able to be in shape and time to do a X16. But you know, we were able to tell the story with X16 and me being able to go through the full tournament in a full day.
Yeah,
um, we were able to tell a story with the year before winner, Harlem Bravado,
yeah,
Andre Chase. Me and him going 1-on-1, X16 winner versus X16 winner.
uh,
Um, since COVID happened, he didn't get a chance to get a title shot against Jason Cade.
yeah,
So it was basically, you know, uh, X16 winner versus X16 winner who gets a shot at Jason.
uh,
Um, and it was actually one of his last matches, Andre Chase's last matches on Indy. So it was an honor to be one of his last matches on the Indies.
yeah. That's gotta be
Um, the match was awesome. Being in the ring with him, man, I learned so much from him in that one match. It was awesome, and I was glad we was able to do that before I was able to win the championship.
yeah,
But just the little story that we was able to tell before me and Jason wrestled each other at Rise of a Champion, and then the story that we was able to tell after I beat him and with the championship. I think it ended up working out pretty good.
yeah. I think that's an awesome story. And those matches are on YouTube, right? Or at least,
Um, the finals with me and Cam Carter are on YouTube, and then I can send you. They should have the matches on Hotspot Network.
okay, nice.
I think they should have it on Hotspot Network.
I have a Hotspots logout. I just can't remember it.
Okay,
I've been
okay.
paying for it for a whole year, so I'll have to call somebody and figure it out. But yeah, um, so to kind of skip forward because we're burning through time here. You PWX kind of goes away. hopefully I saw something to where maybe might be making a comeback. I saw something like online. So hopefully we have that to look forward to. But let's jump over to APW, and if you could just walk us through like your time at APW, winning the championship, and like getting to work these awesome programs with like Rayhan and that triple threat match you guys just had with Drew Hood. Yeah,
Um, APW has always been a place where I've been able to really extend the TJ Boss character. I've been able to try new things. The people there, they love to see old fashioned ass whooping, and that's exactly what I do. Um, I end up working a program with JD Drake,
yeah,
and he was a champion at the time, so they were prepping me to building me up to work him, end up taking the championship off him, run a little program with him. Um, then I ended up getting hurt. That was actually during the time when DLC happened, as a matter of fact. So I ended up getting hurt. Um, Taking that time off, Zuka King ended up holding the championship for a little while.
yeah,
And then I think he ended up losing it to Timmy. And so after Timmy held the championship, I ended up coming back, and me and Timmy started our program there. And I think that's when things started kind of hitting pretty good at APW with the TJ Boss babyface character. When
yeah,
me and Timmy started our program for the belt there, um, I ended up beating Timmy in a I quit match. Um, Ended up winning the championship. Uh, did my little run there, and then my brother from another mother wants to challenge me for the championship. Me, Rayhan.
yeah,
Um, the storytelling that me and Ray were able to do, in my opinion, was some beautiful stuff. Another guy that I've been able to learn so much from being on the road as a tag team, and I
yeah,
didn't think that me and him would do so well as as foe. You
yeah,
had to you Kane and Undertaker stories, but their matches never were too good.
yeah,
They had a couple little things, but they were never like, oh, Kane and Undertaker killed it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But with me and him, man, we just had good chemistry, and like we trusted each other a lot, just like me and Timmy.
yeah,
And the things we was able to go out, and the matches that we were able to go out and have, I think we learned a lot from both, working with both each other. And um we, like I said, we must did something real good, because we won feud
Fusion.
of the year in
That's all.
2022. So being able to share that award with him, that's an honor for me.
Yeah,
And just to show that storytelling is still good in wrestling. You still tell a good story and still get the people what they want. So but now the story that we're telling now, with this three-way and Drew Hood, um it right now it's kind of just seems like everything just kind of coming full circle right now. You know what I mean? Is um this continuation when with the belt, and just being able to elevate different people when they win the championship. I think it just started with Drake being able to pass the torch to me, and then even though I got hurt, I
yeah,
was still able to pass the torch a little bit to Zuka King. Zuka King take that championship, and he did amazing things with it. Pass it to Timmy. Timmy do amazing things. Pass it to me, and then I can elevate Rayhan, and then elevate Drew.
yeah,
So I think in that time span, I think we were been able to do a great job being able to tell
yeah.
a story, and you know do that.
If you look at Drew Hood just over the past year, like the growth and the level, like it's always been there, but like I think people are finally starting to see like what he's all about. That's really cool to see.
I'm really glad that he's starting to find who he is, in this business, and it's like that for a lot of guys. I see that in a lot of uh people coming up now, and it's the business is going into a good place. So it's a lot of good talent out there.
Yeah. And speaking of good talent coming up and kind of wind things down, I think you now probably have the record for our longest episode, which is a good thing. As long as
Sorry about
no, 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 I
that.
love these. I love these.
Well, I
Um,
said, I owe you one, so.
no, no, it's fine. But we usually kind of try to end on like one question, and that's who are some people like just like let's say the East, pretty much wherever, but like the East Coast, like some guys that you feel like more people should know about on the indie wrestling scene.
Well, just like just a couple, and there's so many.
Yeah,
But my guys, Zuka King, Rayhan Antaeus, guys I wrestled, Drew Hood, Cam Jackson, um, new guys, Zay Vega, Jordan Holt,
yeah,
my I love watching Movie Mike work. It's so many guys. It's so many names, so many guys. Um, if I had to choose one right now, if is that what you're asking me? Just choose one,
or just name as many as you'd like.
or just name minutes like? Okay, all right, good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like limited. People are
Let's see.
limited.
Um, I say somebody that's Cooper Housley. Um, I still love watching Rob Killjoy work. I still love watching John Scholar work at these shows. I still, um, Chase Emery. I'm a Chase Emery fan. Let's see. Brino Royce. I'm a Brino Royce fan. Chris Prince. Um, TDT.
Yeah, of course.
Um, let's see.
Any
Um,
any women?
JAC.
Yeah,
Um, Lucky Ali all day.
yeah,
Um, it's it is so many.
yeah.
Um,
It's a good time to be a wrestling fan for sure.
and it is, and I don't want to hold too much time, but it's so many. I'm especially where we are in the south and southeast.
Yeah,
Is so much great talent out there, and I am proud to be a part of the wrestling circle that we are in, and I want to. There's a lot of people over here that wants to get out more, and so and show the world. I'm able to do that up in Pennsylvania and show them how we do it in the southeast
yes, sir.
and stuff like that. So just wanted the opportunities I can get, just kind of just represent the southeast and the
Yeah,
Carolinas and do
yeah,
my thing, just like everybody else is. So
yeah. I think like within the span of a couple days, Lucky Ali got announced for Limitless Wrestling up in
hmm
Diego Hill for Prestige, Jay Malachi, and West Coast Pro. So like these guys
yeah,
representing, they're showing what the South is
Jay
all.
Malachi, and Jay Malachi, like dude, like the amount of talent that's just Carolinas alone.
Yeah,
Like we will spend here another hour and a half trying to name everybody.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a good time to be a wrestling fan. A good time to be a TJ Boss fan too. Um, yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. There were questions like I was kept looking at the time. I was like, "There's questions I want to ask that I didn't." So we'll definitely have to have you back on for a part two sometime. But
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
great.
I will look forward to it, Daniel. Dude, I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Oh, thank you.